I've had this recurring lower back pain for maybe about a year now, and to the point where I haven't been able to squat pain-free under load for about 5 months now. And I went to a physiotherapist and they identified a problem with basically my mechanics, my technique, that we're going to try and fix today. Yeah. So I've got this massive Buttwink, and I start to Buttwink well above parallel, and they think that's what's causing the problem. So we're going to do some stuff today to hopefully rid me of this pain.
The main thing with Buttwink or whatever is more like, sometimes there can be a flexibility component that's going to sort of limit how far you're going to be able to get, but the main thing is just having some awareness and being able to brace into sort of like a neutral position and feeling, you know, when you're maintaining that and when you're not maintaining that. So that's kind of the big thing we're going to basically work on. Okay, so go ahead and just get into your squat stance. So from here, just stand all the way up, like squeeze your bum really hard, like there you go, and brace the abs nice and tight. You got it. Okay, so this is going to be you in your sort of like neutral, nice position. Do you get any pain or anything when you're like that? Okay, cool. So then just take one thumb, put it, yeah, we've done this before, right? And then one right on the hip bone, right on the pelvis. Perfect. Okay, so our job is to basically maintain that exact same distance between the two hands. And I know you've done this one before, but so we're either going to flex in, which we don't want to do when the hands move closer together, or overextend where the hands move further apart. Okay. Typically in the squat, the issue is going to be in the start of the squat to sort of maybe overextend, and then the bottom of the squat to sort of round back. So we're going to try a couple squats. Let's just go really slow and just go as low as you can while maintaining that exact position. Let's see how that looks. Good. And don't force it, just go as low as you can. Good. Come back up. Here, let's scoot over here. So you go for it. So get tight. Good. And again, no. Yeah, fine. Just go, even go a little slower and just pause in that bottom position where you feel like you are, you know, just on the verge of losing that posture, but where you're still able to maintain it. Good. Yeah. And come on back up. Okay, and no back pain or anything when you're doing that? Perfect. So for right now, that's basically sort of as low as you can squat with sort of a perfect posture. Now, there are some things that we can do probably to get that a little bit deeper. So one thing, go ahead and just pause in the bottom again. Right, so this angle here is, you know, I would say past 90 degrees. But can you push your knees any further forward to sit up a little more? Yeah, okay, come back up. So I think, well, go ahead and put your weightlifting shoes on, and let's see if we can, good, come back up. All right, so now let's go ahead. So I think you can get a little lower with the weightlifting shoes than not, right? Correct. So now let's go ahead and just play around with your squat stance, because there's gonna be an optimal stance that's gonna allow you to get as low as possible while maintaining that good position. You might already be in it, or you might not. So let's just start a little wider, and then we're just gonna work our way in, and all we're gonna do is just go by feel. So if it's too wide, you're gonna be like, oh, that's all I can do, and eventually we're gonna find the sweet spot, and then we'll go a little bit past that, and we'll be like, nope, it was right there. Okay, so just go from there. Still start right here. Yeah. Butt tight. Yeah. Just don't force it. Just squeeze in as low as you can. That actually looks pretty good with a little wider stance. How did that feel?
My hips are on fire, but like that feels fine.
Okay, nice. So come in just so when you say your hips are on fire,
they feel really
like just tight in there. Okay. Bring it in just a tad from there. Yeah. So we'll just kind of inch it in, and we're gonna find that ideal stance. Again, squeeze the butt, lock everything in, and just maintain that all the way through. Come back up. Was that slightly more comfortable?
Yeah, more comfortable in the hips.
Yeah. Okay. That might be pretty close to it. Let's go in a little narrower, and same thing. So get tight. Okay. That's decent. I'd say which one of those two felt a little better?
A little bit wider.
A little bit wider. Okay, great. Yeah, so now we're gonna bring your stance out a bit then. Okay. Perfect. So now we're getting to, a decent squatting depth. We're keeping that back posture tight. So now let's practice a couple more times. What I really want you to focus on is that initial sitting back, just to really make sure that you're doing it all as one piece and not having any change there. So what I like to think about is once you go ahead and get everything set. Perfect. So what I like to think about is leaning back with the top part of your hamstring, and imagine that it's basically going to be going like in this direction, right? Almost straight down, but slightly back, right? Exactly. Keep that tension, and come back up. Nice. Stand up all the way. Yep. Do that one more time. Focus on just the way down for right now. Yeah. Good. Again, don't force the depth. Just sit into it. Awesome. Okay. Really good. So that's how you want to make sure that you are initiating that backwards or sort of downward motion. Now let's talk about the way up. So once you are driving back up out of the squat, think about leading with the glutes. Okay. So when you're like pushing a little kid on a swing set or something, right? And you kind of like pushing their butt and making them go. Okay. Right? So imagine someone is basically doing that to you out of the bottom of your squat. So I want you to try to keep as much tension through the glutes as possible, because that's going to help kind of stabilize the pelvis and everything above that, to make sure that as you're coming up, there's no little deviations in that position, that you're coming up straight. Okay. So get everything nice and tight, get set. Sit back and down. Again, don't force the depth for right now, just to where you get to, and squeeze the bum all the way up hard. Good. Just do a couple like that to get that feel. Perfect.
It's like you fly up.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So last thing we're going to kind of layer in is, again, just creating a little more tension through the hips to even create more stability there. So a couple things I kind of like to do are, number one, so think about gripping your feet into the floor. So big toe, little toe, heel. Okay. And then we're going to try to think about, imagine like you're trying to pull your heels together, and simultaneously from here rotating out from the hips. When you're doing that, it's really important to make sure the big toe stays on the floor. So sometimes when you're rotating out, the tendency is for the feet to tip, versus just sticking into the ground and just having some of that torque. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So big toe, little toe, heel. Heels together. Can you feel like the adductors kind of tighten up when you do that? Yeah. And then this is going to kind of turn your butt on a little bit more. And you're just thinking about right from the hip joint, just creating a little bit of rotation there. Okay. So do a couple. So stand all the way up, squeeze the butt, lock everything in. Now kind of layer up from the floor, right? Heels together, rotate in, and we do a nice squat. Nice. Yeah, really good. It should feel pretty, so you're working really hard and you have to think about a lot of stuff, but it should feel really hard to even get into a position where you're going to reverse in the bottom when you have that amount of tension in the hips.
Like collapse and not
to do a butt wink, yeah. Okay. So try a couple more with like that. So stand all the way up to start, right? Abs and butt. Heels together, rotate a little bit from the hips, and just lower into the squat. Again, don't force the depth for right now, and then just squeeze the butt hard all the way up. Nice. Get everything set from the top, squeeze the butt. There you go. Don't lose that tension. Squeeze, yeah, nice. Squeeze the butt all the way up through the finish. You got it. No back pain, right?
Nope.
Feels great. Okay, awesome. Really looking really good. All right. So so we got the basic pieces there, right? Okay. So number one, resetting at the top, locking in, squeezing your butt, squeezing your abs, getting that neutral position. Number two, making sure we have as much sort of tension through the hips as possible, right? So tripod foot, heels together to get the groin involved, and screwing the hips into the floor to get the butt more involved. Number three, we're trying to squeeze the butt all the way up to fully recruit that and create more stability and power. And then number 4, we did the stance adjustment, so you could find that best position for you. Okay, so those were the key things. Let's go ahead and load this a little bit and then see what happens. All right, so set the a little bit wider stance that we had. Okay, so the key thing with the goblet squat, I don't know why, but it just seems like a more natural way to sort of reinforce all of this stuff. So I would recommend throwing some of these in as a way to practice everything that we did under a little bit of load, just in your warm-ups prior to like a back squat, because it'll just be a little more natural to lock everything in. Okay, so let's have a quick look. Maximum tension. And you could probably feel like you can get it a little bit deeper by just having that weight in the front to sort of counterbalance you a bit. Let's do 5 here. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to do a little pause in the bottom to really consolidate your tension there, okay? So we're going to go all the way down, 3-second pause in the bottom, and then fire up with the glutes, all right? So we'll go 5 starting from now. Good, 1, 2, 3, up with the glutes. Awesome. Badass looking squat. Squeeze the bum a little more at the top. Yeah, that's how you want to finish that. Nice. So another drill that I really like for kind of glute activation in the squat is the sandbag squat. So you may not have access to this. You can kind of jerry-rig something or order one of these sandbags. There's a bunch of companies. This one's from Iron Mind. I don't get any money from them, but they're pretty good. Not yet. Iron Mind, contact me. Affiliate links. Okay, so basically you're gonna pick this thing up, get as braced as you can, straddle the sandbag. You can sort of set it on your lap, and then you're just gonna bear hug the sandbag this way. And because even more than like a goblet squat, there's so much weight in front of you, it's really gonna challenge your ability to not get tipped forward on the way up. So what you need to really focus on is squeezing the glutes and making sure you're extending the hips all the way from the bottom versus allowing the butt to kind of scoot out the back, right? So I almost imagine this as like when if you're gonna like suplex somebody, right? It's like you're coming right through with the hips versus, you know, falling on your face. Make sure your stance is good. That looks pretty good. Heels together, screw in, stay tight, and then all glutes on the way up. Exactly. Let's do maybe 10 of these. Perfect. Good. All glutes. That's it. Yep. Good. A really good indication with that is if you feel any little flinch or change of position in the bottom, whether it's as you're coming up, the butt comes back, or there's just like a little shimmy or like a little bit of instability there. It's not super solid, like all the way down, all the way up is exactly the same. That's a good sign that you lost a little bit of tension, or maybe the weight is too heavy for that kind of practice that you want to do, right? So when I'm doing it, if I get too tired or I'm not thinking that well, it'll be like down, and there just might be like a little something, right? That's not that big of a deal. I can easily move through it and correct, but I know I lost a little bit of tension and my position wasn't perfect. Okay. Cool. Nice. Okay, so maybe what we should do is I'll just write out the key points. Okay. And then you can maybe take a picture of it on your phone so you have that stuff down. And you don't have to wait for me to take like a week to edit this. But you're gonna have this for sure.
I'll never, this is good.
All right, cool.
Awesome. It's like, I can feel my glutes firing, and I feel like I'm just like launching up, but then when you add weight, I don't feel them firing, and I feel like you corrected me a couple of times. Yeah, so great question. So I think, part of that is going to be a habitual thing. Like you're not used to doing that in your regular squat. So, and you're thinking about so much other stuff as well. But yeah, so part of it is just that practice and just getting used to it. And then part of it is like they just might not be that strong in a squatting movement, right? So if they're the sort of weakest link in the chain, so to speak, they're going to be the first thing to sort of, I'm not going to say like totally shut off, but just like not contribute fully, right? Because you're used to just relying on other muscles a little bit more to get that same job done. So what's probably going to happen is you're going to need to
like dropped the weights down in training to sort of work on, so think about your like absolute squatting max, whatever that is right now, and then you're like let's say pain-free, and then your sort of technical max of what you can actually do, making sure your position is right, and you're like, yep, I could feel my bum working there. Okay. And it's very normal for you to for people with this to have like a huge gap between that. So like the most amount you could actually squat versus like what you could squat and getting the right muscles to work is like a massive difference, but it should come along pretty quickly as long as you work on it and don't just skip that and just go over to here, because then it will never get better. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Cool. All right, back squat's going to be a little harder just based upon where the bar is set than the goblet squat to sort of keep everything together. So again, don't force the depth. Just get everything set how you had it before, and then we'll let's just do maybe just a set of 3, but we'll do that pause in the bottom, because and your whole goal there is to sort of A, stay tight through here and not have that butt wink, but B, try to create as much glute tension as possible there. Okay, so get tight. Yep, exactly. Nice, good, Jack. Tighten up a little more right here. Yeah, and try not to lose that as you sit back. So lead from the hamstrings, not the butt. Yeah. Nice. Good. How'd your back feel with that?
Good.
Good. So I think a big thing for you is going to be just really perfecting that initial sit back. Yeah. Because what's going to happen is if you sit back and you extend a little bit, A, you're already putting a lot more pressure on the back and changing your spine position, right? If there's anything kind of going on there. But you're also going to be much more likely to then reverse later on, because now my abs aren't really working. Like that's going to inhibit some of the postural muscles that are going to help keep me strong. And I'm just going to run out of room faster. So again, I'm going to be more likely to butt wink at the same depth, if that makes sense, than if you just started out correct. Again, so don't force the depth, right? Just go to whatever you feel like you can maintain really perfectly without like an objective standard of below parallel or whatever. Same thing, get set right from the top, abs and glutes, heels together, rotate from the hips. Good. Okay, you lost it a little bit in the bottom. So I want you to go 1 inch less low and fight to keep that tension all the way down. No relaxing at the bottom. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Yep. Hold it and come up straight with the glutes. That was better. Not totally perfect. We need more glutes on the way up, okay? Lock it in. Stay tight, stay tight, stay tight. Lead from the hip. That was way better. Good. Abs a little tighter. Don't go quite as low. And lead with the glutes all the way up. That's it. Nice one. Good. Awesome job. You feel the last one a little bit better? Yeah. You just came up straighter, right? Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Never felt so heavy.
Yeah. So that was really good. That's really good. So again, at first it's going to be just a lot of practice time to sort of just get to where you don't have to spend so much mental energy basically thinking about doing it right? And then I think the next step after that is going to be working on basically just building the muscular endurance of those muscles that you weren't previously working as much, right? So just with those cues that we used. So, thinking about like higher repetition sets of like a goblet squat or even a back squat with like a moderate weight. So sets of like 8 to 15 kind of thing. Just at first to build that muscular endurance. So that way when you start moving to the next phase of more strength building type work and lower repetitions, heavier weights, you know that those muscles aren't going to crap out on you or it's going to be less likely for them to sort of just get fatigued after a couple reps and then just kind of shut down. You're going to be able to maintain a little bit better throughout a set and just build some work capacity in them.